One of the questions I keep getting over and over again is, what are my favorite currency pairs? And although I've answered this a bunch of times, I realize I haven't really answered that question specifically in one place. So I want to talk about some of the best pairs for currency trading. Whether you're trading with robots or you're trading discretionary account, I want to talk about some of the pairs that I like the best. And it starts with a story. In 1875, I was at a currency trading conference back when currency trading was popular in the 1870s. And I was with the CEO of one of the major, I can barely just say it, I was with Drew Niv. He used to run FXCM and he was an old friend of mine. And we were just having a conversation at the bar and we were getting hammered. I'm just kidding, that's not actually true. And I said, hey, I feel like asking him the question that everyone always asks me. What's the best currency pair? And I got an answer that was absolutely ridiculous. And I never thought he would say this. And you might say, oh, it's gotta be the euro. Or it's gotta be the Japanese yen. Or it's gotta be the Klingon Darsek. That's not actually a currency. Or it's gotta be whatever. And he said, you're not going to believe this, Rob, but the traders who make the most money and lose the least amount of money on the platform trade the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I feel like this should come with like the crowd going, oh, because this is pretty much, trading this pair is the equivalent of going on a date with an accountant. Apologize to all of you accountants out there. It's boring. It's super boring. It's like, hey, you want to go back to my place and look at my collection of action figures? That's the equivalent of this currency pair. It doesn't move a lot. It moves back and forth, so it ranges. It has a wide spread, right? So the spread's wider. But why would people do well with this? Why wouldn't they do better with a currency pair that trends, right? Because trends are famous. Trends are important. Trends are the most important thing in the entire world. Trend is your friend until the end. There's a really big reason that this is one of the most important currency pairs. And it's and another one that works really well and is great for beginners is the Euro British Pound. And another really great one that fits these characteristics is the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. And the reason that these work well is because these currencies are correlated. What this means is the Australian dollar is highly correlated to the New Zealand dollar. The Australian dollar is highly correlated to the Canadian dollar. Australia and Canada both pull things out of the ground, not dead bodies, but like natural resources out of the ground, and they turn that into money. They're both commodity-driven economies. Australia pulls things out of the ground like rocks, and New Zealand pulls lambs out of the ground. Is meat a commodity? It probably is. No surprise there. So the euro and the British pound, both European economies, both pretty big, both pretty established, lots of trade that goes in between those economies. And so when the Australian dollar goes up, the Canadian dollar usually goes up shortly thereafter. But this currency pair will still move. But what this means is if you get stuck in a trend, it's likely to come back. And the biggest danger in trading is that someone gets into a trade that starts going against them and it becomes a giant loss. Well, when a currency pair is more ranging than it is trending, you don't get stuck in those losing trades as often. And even if you do get stuck in a losing trade, there are pretty significant retracements inside of that trend. So the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar is my favorite of the mix, but the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar is great too. And if you're brand new to trading, or if you've been trading for a while and you haven't been looking at these pairs, you might want to take a closer look at them because they can work so effectively. And maybe tomorrow we'll take a look on the charts at correlations. We could take a look at what it means to look at the correlations and when the correlations go out of whack. In fact, I've got a whole secret YouTube playlist I forgot about, all about correlations, and I don't even need to make a new video. So here's my request. I'm going to link to that playlist down below, and at the end of this video, I'm going to link to that playlist on one of those cards that shows up on the screen. Would you go watch every single one of those videos in the playlist? I don't know why I have this dream of tons of people watching videos this week on the channel, but that would be great. That would be a huge help. And I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Forest Park FX. If you're interested in trading the Forex market, contact Forest Park FX to receive cashback rebates on every trade you place. You can go to forestparkfx.com. That's forestparkfx.com. Terms and conditions apply. Forex trading carries a significant risk of loss. I'm Rob Booker. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.